So over the past couple of years, I really got into music like pretty deeply. And I've always liked music before. I've always played instruments. I played cello, I played piano. I've always done musical stuff, but I've never really dived into actually listening to a bunch of different kinds of music. I would always just listen to what's on the radio pretty much, which thinking back to that now sounds crazy that I used to do that. It's just crazy that I never really cared what I was listening to, but that all changed a couple years ago, probably in 2018, I would say. And it's been a couple of albums in the past couple of years that have really shaped my taste in music and made me dive into music a lot deeper and made me enjoy it a lot more. So I thought I would make a quick video today going over 3 of those albums that kind of got me more into music and that pretty much changed my life. I guess we should go back to like the year 2018 because that's really when I started getting into music, and it started out with hip hop, rap, stuff like that, just stuff that people my age were listening to. And it was nothing crazy. Drake, Juice WRLD, X, Lil Skies, people like that. And I eventually started watching YouTube content as well, mostly like reaction content. I found the channel Rock Reacts, which I don't know if you guys remember that channel, but it was a great channel. It featured John Denton and his buddy, who were formerly metalheads, and they were reacting to and discovering hip-hop music just like I was at the time, so I felt like I could kind of relate to them and identify them even if I was coming from a completely different background. We were both kind of discovering that genre of music at the same time, so I was watching their reactions. They did tons of reactions to hip-hop artists, and the one that really stuck with me the most was their reaction to some Frank Ocean tracks. I believe I watched their reaction to Pyramids first, and then I watched their reaction to Nights, I believe, and I really enjoyed those 2 videos, and I was just completely intrigued by the name Frank Ocean and the idea of his music for some reason. I had heard his name at that time before, but I hadn't listened to any of his stuff, so that was my real introduction of Frank Ocean. After that point, I listened to some of his songs, a couple singles, and then I decided to check out Blonde.
Round your city, round the clock. Everybody needs you. No, you can't make everybody equal.
Which, to this day, is still my favorite album of all time. It completely changed my life. It completely changed how I view music. Yeah, I remember where I was when I first listened to this album. It was actually upstairs in the living room of this household, just chilling in that chair, headphones on. There's not many albums that I can remember vividly the first time I listened to. Blonde is definitely one of them. If I was like distracted doing something else while listening to that album, it wouldn't have hit the same. I just put the headphones on, closed my eyes, wasn't distracted by anything else, and I was absolutely blown away by the album on a first listen. It was just a completely new world of music for me to be entering into. And even now, it's not like the most experimental thing or the craziest thing out there. But at the time, compared to what I was listening to, it was completely different. I had no idea what was going on, but I loved it. Since then, my view on music has completely changed. Frank Ocean has become my favorite artist. That might change in the future, who knows, but I'll always have like a special place in my heart for Frank Ocean because once again, he completely changed how I listen to music and the type of music I would get into. After I listened to Blonde, I would listen to that like a lot. I don't even know how many times I've listened to this album, but I continued to like it even more with each listen. I got more into kind of like the Tyler, the Creators, the Earl Sweatshirts, the Kanyes, the Kendrick Lamars. This is when I really started getting into music that I feel like I actually loved. Once again, I was listening to people like Drake, Juice WRLD. I would say just more mainstream, and I liked their music, but I don't think I ever really loved it. Because once I got to Frank Ocean, Kanye, Kendrick, I kind of just had like a connection to those that I don't think I had with previous music. And yeah, once I listened to Blonde, I kind of just went on a streak of just listening to a ton of hip hop, some R&B, and that led me to the second album that kind of got me into music and kind of changed my life, which was To Pimp a Butterfly.
We gon' be alright. Nigga, we gon' be alright. Nigga, we gon' be alright.
Now, I vividly remember listening to this album for the first time as well. I believe it was in 2019 as well, and I just remember it was some long car ride that I was on. I remember sitting in the back seat with these same headphones that I use for every video. At that point, I had heard a couple of Kendrick songs, mainly off of Damn, but I hadn't heard anything off of To Pimp a Butterfly. I believe at this point I discovered Fantano too, so I kind of knew about the lore with Fantano and him giving it a 10 and everything, so that made me even more excited to check it out. And yeah, once again, the first time listening to this, my mind was blown. A lot of it, I didn't even know what I was listening to. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't have the lyrics in front of me. I was just trying to keep up in my head with what Kendrick was saying. Especially on that first listen, I didn't expect to like the sound of it as much as I did. Like, it is a very jazzy kind of sounding album. And at that point in my life, I hadn't dived into any of that type of music. That's what I really gravitated to on the first couple of listens of this album, was just the instrumentation. I would later dive into Kendrick's lyrical content more. Yeah, this album just opened my eyes to a whole new sound of hip-hop and what hip-hop can be, because up to that point, I wasn't listening to the most adventurous stuff when it comes to hip-hop. This just made me appreciate the artistry and what it takes to create and build a concept album, because this was probably the first concept album I listened to. I'm not completely sure on that, but once again, it just completely opened my eyes to what someone can do with an album. Yeah, it just inspired me a lot. I never really thought that this would even be possible with music, making something like this. And it just, once again, made me even more excited to continue to check out other artists and more albums. So after this point of listening to Pimp a Butterfly, I got more into the Fantano side of things, you know, the Tyler, the Creators, the Kanye West, just diving even more deeply into hip-hop, even though both of those artists I mentioned are pretty mainstream. But yeah, at this point I was going to Frank Ocean stuff further as well, Channel Orange, Endless, Nostalgia Ultra, and my love for music was just continuing to grow even further. So I was listening to mainly hip-hop for like 2 years at this point. I also found Brockhampton at this time as well. I believe Bleach was the first song I heard from them, and then I dived into their stuff. Loved it so much. So yeah, I was mostly just listening to hip-hop, and then at the beginning of 2021, this past year, I felt like I needed to switch it up a little bit, switch up what I was listening to, because I was getting a little bit tired of hip-hop. I mean, I love the genre, but if you listen to one genre for like 2 years, you're gonna get tired of it. So this is when I decided to try out some other genres, and this is where Radiohead comes in. I listened to In Rainbows for the first time at the beginning of 2021. And it just was such a fresh sound for me, obviously because I was listening to so much of the same genre. I watched Fantano's reviews of some Radiohead records. I think I watched the Moon-Shaped Pool review first, and then for some reason I checked out In Rainbows first, and then I checked out A Moon-Shaped Pool. But In Rainbows is really the one that stuck with me, and it's really the one that made me dive deeper into rock and alternative rock and this kind of sound within music. And yeah, you guys probably know this, but In Rainbows is probably one of my favorite albums of all time. I remember once again vividly the first time I listened to this. It was late at night, me just chilling in my room, headphones on, no distractions at all, just listening to the music, taking it in, and it was I would say it was as mind-blowing of an experience compared to Pimp a Butterfly or Blonde for me on a first listen. This one was one where it had to grow on me quite a bit. But I did know that it was something very special the first time I listened to it, and I did enjoy it a lot on that first listen. I would listen to it again the next day, and then I just kept listening to it, kept getting accustomed to the sound, and that's where my interest in Radiohead started, and kind of my interest in other genres other than hip-hop in music started as well. So yeah, those are the 3 kind of albums that changed my life and changed how I listen to music. Yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. I kind of just wanted to make this to cover kind of my musical journey and some of the pivotal albums that got me into music, and hopefully you guys found this enjoyable. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do more of these types of videos in the future, who knows. I just love music. These past couple years of getting into it more has just really changed how I view a lot of things. It's crazy to think about, 3 years ago I was not even caring about what I was really listening to. The only time I would really think about music would be when I was playing it, either playing piano or cello or something like that. Specifically these 3 albums have just changed my life a lot and changed how I view music, and they hold a special place in my heart. I'm excited to continue discovering new music because I haven't even scratched the surface of what there is in the music world, and I'm excited to continue doing that with you guys, and it's gonna be fun. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you want, subscribe if you want, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.